red and the green indicates that we're seeing different speeds from the radar right now, and that's showing the rotation. So the spin right here, east of the town, and right along 310. So if you have any friends in Como, call them, let them know that there is a tornado warning. They need to be in their safe space and that they need to be watching this storm as it continues to very slowly move towards the south and east. Normally when we talk about these storms, we're talking about a movement of about 45 to 50 miles per hour. That is not the case with this. This is a slow moving storm, very much like a summer type storm, but of course we don't get rotation in those storms in the summertime. So this is something that we're going to continue to watch here. We're going to be with you through at least 7:45. So that's going to be another 45 minutes here, or that we'll be watching this storm. So let me go ahead, if we can pull up, guys, Weather 2 again. And we'll go ahead and show you guys what's going on there with this. We'll put another track. In fact, let's go ahead a little bit closer in on some of these locations just ahead. So this is State Park Road. I'll move up the camera so you guys can see that. Sardis is going to be right on your screen right here. This is just ahead of the circulation. So this is 315 stretching east towards State Park Road. You have John Hannon Road right here, Union Road. This is all going to be where we're going to be seeing this rotation sliding to the southeast over the next 20 minutes or so. It's a very slow moving storm just north of Sardis that we're seeing this rotation currently. I'm going to go ahead and switch us over to see what this is looking like, if we're seeing any debris on here, and I'm not really seeing anything that indicates any radar picked up debris, which is definitely some good news. That continues to be at least a radar indicated tornado with this. What we'll also switch over to is that hail, because that's also been something we've been tracking with this system, and right now it looks like size is around 2 inches being picked up just east of Como. This is Compress Road. 310 continues down to the south here. South of Luxahoma is where we're seeing some pretty sizable hail. 2 inches, definitely enough to cause some issues there. So what we're going to be watching for is that rotation mainly with the storm. This is going to continue to be something that is going to at least be a concern, at least for a little bit. I think overall it didn't look too impressive, which is some good news. We're still seeing some pretty strong winds. In fact, if I go ahead and sample some of these, you'll see that these are probably near a severe limit. 38, we're looking at 56 miles per hour. So this is still wind that could cause some severe damage, let alone if we're seeing a tornado or not. So I will say Como, Sardis, if you're in the path of this storm, you need to be in your safe place right now. As you head out east, Union Road here, you have 35 just down towards the south of Union Road, out towards Aylesville. This is US 278. This is going to be the next area that's in the path of this rotation. Pretty much the strongest part of this storm, what we're watching right here. So that is what we're going to continue to watch as we go through the next 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is put on the last 30 minutes, show you guys what we've been watching here. And let's go ahead and pull up, we have a view of a camera right now down in Aylesville, so you can see what things are looking like right now. Not too much going on. That, of course, that's just ahead of the storm. They've got probably about 30 minutes or so until this system starts to impact them. So if there's anyone, I would say in Como, Sardis, or Aylesville that you know that you need to get a hold of them, tell them that they're in their safe space as we watch this storm continue. But let's go ahead and switch back towards the radar here. I'm going to show you guys this rotation we've been watching, how it's been moving down towards the southeast right here, just about to be parallel with Sardis, but on the eastern side of I-55. So we're starting to get a little bit further south now into Panola County, and as we do so, it looks like the rotation very broad, and what I mean by that is at least the size of this rotation that we're seeing right here is pretty wide apart on your screen, and that is an indication that we're probably not seeing a tornado on the ground, but is close enough that the National Weather Service went ahead and pulled on that tornado warning. So we're going to continue to keep on this here as it moves down towards the southeast. Like we talked about, these bright pinks that you're seeing right over Como right now are indications of 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. So even if we don't have a tornado on the ground right now, we're looking at some serious wind with this storm. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a closer view. Some of the areas underneath that rotation. So Union Road, John Hannon Road right here, really just east of Como, where we're looking south of 310. You have 315, Mississippi 315, right to the south right here. This is where the rotation is. So start to move towards State Park Road, just east of Sardis. If you're in Sardis, I think the rotation going to be just towards the east of you, but we're still looking at some pretty gusty winds like we talked about moving into that part of the storm. So this is what we're going to continue to watch. Let me go ahead and get you guys a full view of this storm. We'll put up the warning information, do a little bit of a reset, and show you guys what we're looking at least with this warning. So this is going to be a tornado warning storm. This was issued by the National Weather Service, and let me go ahead and get that information up for you guys. Currently looks like until 7:15 p.m. That we're watching for this potential for a tornado warning to be up. We'll see if they continue that. The rotation looking a little bit weaker in the last couple scans, which is some good news. But for Lafayette, Panola, and Tate, I will still say for Tate County, you're up here in the warning. This spin in the storm is already past you. So we're really looking at Lafayette and Panola counties to be the two counties that we're looking at right now to be dealing with that, and really looking at this right now. Panola, you're going to be the one county that we're watching closely for this rotation. Like we said, very broad at this time. It's radar indicated. So that means we do not have a confirmed tornado at this point in time, but we are watching at least for this spin because conditions are possible that we could see at least a tornado to be produced out of this storm. So let me go ahead. I'm going to scroll down real quick and check from the National Weather Service. They are putting out some flash flood warnings for DeSoto and Tate counties as well. We'll cover that a little bit later, but as of right now, we're going to stay on this tornado warning storm just southeast of Como. So pretty much this rotation right here east of Sardis, south of 310 is where we're watching for the potential of a spin-up tornado. When you see these reds and greens, and I'll go ahead and draw this on your screen here, this is what we call a couplet. So essentially, we're seeing winds move towards the radar in Millington, up on this side of the storm, and away from the radar site in Millington on that side of the storm. And you get a little bit of a spin right here, just near Union Road, east of Sardis. This is just off of 55. So this is Interstate 55, this white line going up on the left-hand side of your screen, rotation just to the east. This is what we're concerned about, producing a tornado, and this is why we have that warning out until 7:15. So that's going to be another about 30 minutes here that we're going to be on air with this particular storm. Now, I will say this storm has a history of producing some gusty winds. We've seen some reports of wind damage up in Senatobia, as well as producing some pretty reasonably sized hail. We're talking around a quarter to ping pong ball size hail. In fact, if we switch back over, because the rotation is not super concerning for me right now, it looks very broad. I want to switch us over to the hail and show you guys the hail tracks with this storm, producing some very large hail stretching all the way up to Arkla Butler is where we were seeing at least some of that larger hail start to develop. You can see as we scroll down some pretty large hail sizes that we were getting out of this radar estimations of around 2.5 to 2 inches as it has continued to move down towards the south. So this is another part of the storm that could cause some damage as you continue to see it move down towards the south and east. So what I'm going to do is switch us back over to radar, and what we're going to have here is a track. I'll get that for you guys up here, so we can talk about some of the communities are going to be in the way. Like we said, Aylesville, probably going to be one of the next few places that we're watching for this storm, at least the rotation to move through. This storm is going to be moving into Panola and Lafayette County overall, but as for rotation, that's something we're going to be watching a little bit more localized. So let's go ahead. I'll get this up for you guys and put this track up. Currently right now, Burgess 714, Aylesville right around 718 that we're seeing this rotation push to the south and east. Outside of this is still going to be that potential for hail, for wind, for damaging rainfall, flooding, all of that. But this is essentially that rotation that we're watching currently. So in from that we're seeing, at least from the National Weather Service, there is at least some quarter-size hail in this storm. Thankfully, no reports of a tornado. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is going to be an MDOT camera down on Heritage Drive, north of Jackson Point here. You can see that we are seeing at least some cars out there, dry roads currently, but we are seeing the storm start to move through. So this is something we're going to continue to watch. I will say currently that rotation looking a lot weaker. So we like to at least let you know what we're seeing on our end, and I think good news. That is pretty much what we're looking at right now, is at least that couplet that we were seeing. And I'll go ahead and actually scroll back to show you guys where we were at earlier. So see how these reds and greens near Como were a lot closer to each other and a lot tighter. As we move forward in time, you can see that it's becoming a little bit more spread out. In fact, those greens not really showing up anymore. That's a good sign that that rotation is starting to weaken, and definitely a very good sign for us for this storm. We want this to go away. So I will say definitely a good sign with that. Although we're still seeing some very bright pixels. So these pink pixels that you're seeing in this red portion of the storm is the radar picking up on some pretty quick wind speeds. So what I'll show you guys, I'll highlight some of that right now. Around Sardis to Como, right along 315 right here, and we're seeing 40 to 50 mile per hour winds on the radar. So that's enough still to cause some damage, some downed trees potentially, with maybe some down power lines. So we're still looking at a pretty strong storm, like we said, still potentially producing hail of up to 2 inches as this continues to work slowly towards the southeast. So I will say, at least on one front, we're looking at not much in the way of rotation anymore. It's more so looking like but the potential for some hail and some rainfall. So let's switch over to that hail product one more time. I'll talk about some of the roads. We have Mississippi 310 right here, Oakview Drive. This is Fredonia Road right here on the left-hand side of your screen. You see this green right in the middle, and this is going to be where we're seeing some of our largest hail currently in the storm. And right now, radar estimates of around 1.5 inches. So likely seeing 1 inch or greater hail at the surface with this storm. The storm has a history of that, so that's very believable. Potentially seeing some damaging hail with this system. So let's go ahead, we'll zoom back out because this has been one of a couple storms that we've been seeing so far this evening here across the Mid-South. And it's the only storm as of right now, I will say right now, that is severe warned and tornado warned here across the region. If we go ahead and move things over the last 30 minutes, you'll see the motion on everything. This is the only storm that we are watching. We do have some severe thunderstorm warnings coming out of central Arkansas. We'll have to keep an eye on for the Delta region. That includes Phillips and Coahoma County for those storms. But as of right now, if you're in Memphis, if you're north of Memphis especially, we have had no storms. In fact, I'll go ahead and zoom everyone out and show you at least what we're looking at right now. Just this one storm down to the south, moving into Panola and Lafayette counties that we're watching for the potential of at least a quick spin-up tornado. So let's get you back in. We're going to talk about this warning. We got about another 30 minutes or so. So this warning expires at 7:15. Let's go ahead and we just got at least a public report in from the National Weather Service, some trees down on Oakley Road. So we are seeing some pretty strong wind. And notice these pinks right here showing up on the radar. That's a good indication that we're seeing hail in the storm as well. So this is something that shows up on radar. It has been at least been confirming on the ground as well that we've been seeing strong winds and hail. So let's get that information up for the warning, the tornado warning itself, what we're looking at there, and we'll go through that and go through pretty much everything that we're seeing once again. So this is going to be a tornado warning for Lafayette, Panola, and Tate counties. Now I will say, as of right now, the rotation in the storm is right about here. Tate County is up here. Tate County, you are probably fine at this point. I don't think you're going to have any issues. This storm's continuing to work down towards the south and east. This is now in Panola County, eventually into Lafayette County. I think Oxford is going to be okay for now. We'll have to watch the motion of this storm, but it looks to be tracking towards the west of Oxford, which you can see just below my monitor right here is where Oxford is located. So we're going to continue to watch this storm for the next 30 minutes as it pushes down towards the southeast very slowly. It's only moving right around 20 miles per hour. This is a very slow mover. Typically, we're talking about tornado-warned storms moving at 55, 65 miles per hour. So it's going to take a while for it to move across Panola County and eventually get into Lafayette County, but something we'll continue to watch here, like I said, for the next 30 minutes. So let's switch it over to the velocity. This is what the radar is seeing wind-wise. So it can pick up the direction that the rain is falling and pick up the wind speed. So this is the rotation that we're seeing right here. This is Mississippi 35 that you're seeing Sardis just out towards the west of what we call the couplet, or the rotation of this storm. Let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit. So Scenic Highway, or Mississippi, I should say, 315 is going to be just towards the south of this couplet that we're seeing, and it goes right through. So this is Mississippi 315 right here, just east of Sardis. This is the couplet. Where that red is touching the green is where we're seeing some spin. This spin is very broad right now, and what I mean by that is that we're not seeing things close together. The closer that this spin gets, the more likely that we get a tornado, because you're starting to get those winds faster and faster. Right now, not very impressive, and that is some good news. This is just a radar indicated tornado warning as of right now, but currently, as we continue to watch this, we're not expecting this to produce a tornado imminently. Now, if this scan comes in and we see much brighter colors, then that might change, but you can see the latest scan comes in and we're still seeing that broad rotation just north of Arkansas 35 right here. Simon Chapel Road is going to be right here on your screen. You have Sardis out towards the west and I-55. Let's go ahead and track this. Burgess, you're going to be the next community in the way of this storm. So if you have any friends, any family in Burgess, tell them to get to their safe place, get inside, get into a sturdy building away from the windows or doors as the storm starts to move forward. So I'm going to go ahead and track this forward. We'll make sure we have the right wind speed on that and get this couplet out here. So right now, it's looking like Burgess 715, Aylesville 723. We're talking Taylor 735, and Springdale around 739 as this works towards the south and east. It's moving a little bit further south than it is east. So we're gonna continue to watch this, but if you have friends in any of those locations, let them know that there's a tornado warning storm on the way, that they need to be watching, make sure that they're staying informed ahead of this. Thankfully right now, it looks like the radar doesn't support that we have had a tornado on the ground, but that does mean that doesn't mean that we're still not seeing a pretty strong storm with this. So I want to switch us over to another product right now. What we're going to continue watching for here, and it looks like the National Weather Service continuing this tornado warning until 7:15 still. 2-inch hail still possible for Lafayette, Panola, and Tate County. So it looks like their thinking is that this is still at least decent enough that we're going to be watching for the potential of a tornado here over the next 30 minutes or so. So this is a product that we call a debris detector. Essentially, the radar can make sure, let's go ahead and take actually, we have a camera view of from MDOT. This is east of Jackson Avenue. This is going to be looking out towards that storm. You can see the dark clouds out over in that in the horizon there. So thankfully, so far we haven't seen any photos or videos of any extreme damage from this storm. But I will say it has a history. We've seen some pictures of at least some larger hail with this. So let's get you back over to the radar. I want to show you guys something, debris detector. Essentially, the radar can detect particles of different sizes, and it's a good way for us to confirm if a tornado's been on the ground. And I'm going to go back here. Essentially, what we saw, these blues are typically an indication of debris. Now, in this case, I don't think that's actually the case. We're looking behind, essentially, where we had some hail in the storm. So it looks like right now we're seeing what's called a hail shadow with this we're not really seeing what we would call a tornado debris signature. So right now, it looks like we at least can't confirm that there was a tornado through radar, which is good news. If that's something that we could confirm, of course, a lot more of a serious situation. And if you look at the storm right now, we're not really seeing a good structure with this. This is just northeast. This is Batesville on the very bottom corner of your screen. Mississippi 6 here. Burgess right on the right-hand side of your screen. And I will say Burgess is not in the tornado warning, but is in the path of this rotation, which is getting pretty close to that location. So that's what we're going to continue to watch here in Panola County, moving into Lafayette County as we head into the next 20 to 30 minutes. It's going to start to cross that line. But I will pull us back here and show you this rotation, what we were looking at earlier, and why we're talking about why this just is not as strong. This was around 6:18 p.m. Notice these bright greens and these bright red just north of Como. This was about 30 minutes ago. This is a signature of a much stronger couplet, stronger rotation. As we work through with this storm, I want you to watch that region as it moves to the southeast and notice how it's getting a lot less defined. We're not seeing those greens right here. We're not seeing those bright pinks either. Very good signs that this storm is weakening. And it really is not a day that we were really thinking much of the way of there being tornadic weather anyway. So that means the environment not really conducive for keeping this storm spinning once it got going. So definitely some good news with that. We're going to continue to track this, of course, until that warning expires. Let's go ahead and we're going to zoom in. So this is US 278 Blackjack Road right about here. And I'll get a view here on Burgess for you guys so you can see that. So we have Mississippi 35 right here on this part of your screen and 278 right here, Burgess. And this is where we're seeing that rotation currently is right around here, very ill-defined. So we're not looking at anything too strong right now, but this is still moving towards the south and east, right around 20 miles per hour. So something that is a little bit not normal, I would say, for this area. Typically, our tornado warned storms are moving much quicker than this. So let's go ahead and we'll put another track on this rotation. Like I said, moving a little bit more further south than it is to the east. So let's go ahead and put a track on that. And I'll actually redraw that so that we have a little bit of a broader view. But essentially what we're looking at with this is it moving out this way. So I'll put it out about 22 minutes from now. So Burgess right around 7:03 p.m. So that gives you about 10 minutes to get inside, get in a safe place like we talked about, getting in a sturdy structure, getting into a place away from the doors, away from your windows, that will keep you safe as you see these stronger winds move through. Let's go switch back over to the hail. I'll show you guys what's going on with that part of the storm. And another thing that's showing up here, weaker hail core. So we're not seeing as bright of colors here. Radar indication that the storm is weakening, which is great news for us as we continue here for the next couple of minutes. And let me go ahead and I'll make sure we're still looking from the National Weather Service for an update on this, but notice also the severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled. So it looks like this is pretty much covering all their bases here for the 2-inch hail, as well as the potential of a tornado with the storm as it moves into Lafayette County. But like I said, this hail core getting weaker. So we're probably only looking at about half-inch size hail, around an inch with this. We were talking around 2-inch hail earlier on with this. This is just northeast of 315. This is where we've kind of been hovering. Like I said, this storm hasn't been moving too much. This secondary core, and I'll zoom out so you guys can see that a little bit better, just north of 278 is where we've been watching, right along the Panola-Lafayette line. It's probably where we have the biggest hail right now, close to pea to marble size, if not a little bit larger than that. But much smaller than what we were seeing with this storm. In fact, let's once again roll back on it and we'll show you guys what this looked like. See those bright yellows and oranges that we were seeing as it was moving from Tate County into Panola County, which is where we were actually seeing reports of some pretty sizable hail on the ground. So the trends continue to be that the storm is weakening. And as we go forward, hopefully that's the trend that continues, because like we said, this is the only storm that has been one that we've been watching this afternoon after those original storms moved through. Now we do have these other storms, and I'll do a little bit of a reset. If you guys are just tuning in, it's 6:53 p.m. and we are watching a tornado warning that's out until 7:15 for Panola, Lafayette, and Tate County. Although I will say if you're in Tate County, you're in the clear right now. This storm is well south of you. We're looking at Panola and Lafayette counties. Now we do have some storms out in Arkansas, central Arkansas, that are moving into the eastern portion of the state. Phillips, Coahoma County, you're going to have to keep an eye on these storms as they get closer to your neck of the woods over the next hour or so, but that's something we'll be watching right now. The main concern is going to be this tornado warning storm, which is out for another 15 minutes or so, until 7:15. If you're in Memphis, points north. I'll zoom out a little bit more. Nothing going on. So we're on because there's a tornado warning. When there's a tornado warning, there is a potential that we need to talk about life-saving actions that people need to be taking. So that's why we are on air right now. But if you're Memphis, points north, quiet weather right now. That could change. We could see some more storms late tonight, midnight to 3 a.m. So make sure you're staying weather aware as you go throughout the rest of the night. But let's go ahead and zoom in once more on this storm. And show you guys what's going on. So we're going to go back to the velocity, and right now it looks like the rotation is just outside of this box. So what I'll show you guys, what I'm looking at right now, essentially is the rotation is right about here. So just west, and I'll move this out so you guys can see Aylesville, just here, 278, Aylesville. Here's the rotation. Just outside of the box right now that we're seeing at least remnants of some rotation here. And you can see just went with a severe thunderstorm warning. So my guess here is that they're going to cancel probably this tornado warning pretty shortly here and continue with that severe thunderstorm warning. We'll have to see what they say. The National Weather Service tells us, but it looks like that severe thunderstorm warning is going to be out for Calhoun, Lafayette, Panola, Pontotoc, sorry, just outside of our viewing area, counties, and that's going to be a little bit later on until 7:45. So that's going to be a little bit of a later warning, including Lafayette and Panola counties. 1.75-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds with that severe thunderstorm warning as you continue to go forward. Right now, it looks like they're going to say at least no indication of a tornado with this storm, which is definitely some good news. Like we said, that remnants of rotation just outside of that box now, and I would not be shocked if they cancel that tornado warning on the early end here, just because we're not really seeing anything that would indicate the potential of some stronger rotation that would lead to a tornado. Of course, we're going to stay on air with you guys until this tornado warning is dropped. And right now, that's going to be until 7:15. It includes Panola, Tate, and Lafayette counties. But I want to switch you guys back over to the actual rainfall that we're seeing with this. And this is Tate County up here. You're not even seeing any rain anymore. So if you're in Tate County, you're all clear. You're good to go. Areas out towards the south, though, really along the Panola and Lafayette line now, just west of Oxford is where we're looking, right along 278 for the potential of at least some spin left with this storm. So what we'll continue to do is continue to watch this for the next 15 minutes until that warning expires. But I will say right now, that potential for a tornado a little bit lower. I will say right over Aylesville right now, potentially seeing some hail moving through, and you can tell just by looking at the radar. Once you get these purples showing up, it's a sign that the radar is picking up on particle sizes that are larger than a raindrop, and in this case, potentially some hail with this storm, which has been part of the history of this storm. It's been producing hail all the way up since Tate County, northern Tate County, I should say, even into southern DeSoto County. So this is one that we'll continue to watch produce at least multiple types of severe weather threats, including the gusty winds. It's dropped some trees as well as it's moved down towards the south and east. So let's switch this back over. When it comes to storms like this, the winds are really the big thing. They'll let us know where that rotation is. It looks like that rotation now has moved south, right over 278, or what's left of that, I should say. Batesville just to the east, Burgess, or say Batesville to the west, Burgess to the east. So this is 278 right here. Burgess is going to be right here on your screen, and then we have Batesville out towards the west. This is I-55 moving up from Sardis to Batesville in Panola County, and this is the rotation which is now outside of that tornado warning area, which tells me at this point we're probably not seeing conditions favorable for a tornado, considering they went with that severe thunderstorm warning. So they're going to keep that at least tornado warning up here for another 17 minutes, it looks like, and they'll let that expire. But it looks like right now, things with that are starting to quiet down. I do want to take a look out towards the west for Phillips County. I know the storm isn't with you guys yet, but I want to take a look at these other storms potentially working their way over towards Phillips County, over towards Lee County as well. These are out towards the west right now, moving very slowly like the storms we've been seeing all day. And we'll have to keep an eye on them, especially for the potential of some hail as we get a little bit later on. You are quiet so far in Phillips County, but as these storms get closer, the potential of some stronger weather once again. And it looks like that's going to be the focus as we go forward on top of this tornado warned storm that we've been tracking for the last, I believe, 30 minutes here. Across the Mid-South. It's been a pretty active week and a very isolated week in terms of our storms, where we've seen a lot of places stay dry and a couple places get a couple of storms, and it's been repeating like that every day, and today's just another case of that. And like we said, another round of potentially some stronger weather as we get later on into the overnight hours. So let's go ahead, we'll get you back in here on this morning, and I'll read off the information. So this storm is moving off towards the southeast, right around 20 miles per hour. Radar indicated rotation, so we haven't seen anything in the way of a confirmed tornado with this, which is definitely some good news. We haven't seen an observed tornado with this. It's just radar indicated spin. This is out for Lafayette, Panola, and Tate counties. I will say, if you're in Tate County, this is not your issue anymore. You are fine. You're in the clear. This is moving more and more towards Lafayette County. In Panola, you're going to be out of this pretty soon. And with that being said, there's multiple threats with this storm. We're talking wind, we're talking torrential rain, we're talking hail with this as it continues to work off down towards the south and east. So what I'll do is show you guys at least where we're seeing some hail first, because I think that's probably the biggest thing that we're watching right now is the potential of some larger hail. And that's going to be just towards the southeast of Burgess, County Road 317 right here. You have Perkins Road out here as well, where we're seeing some of that larger hail right around an inch right now. And we're going to be seeing at least probably half-inch size hail with that as we continue to go over the next 30 minutes or so. The storm does appear like it's potentially weakening just a little bit, which is why we're not really concerned about there being a tornado with this. And I will pull up that wind, because that's really our eyes when it comes to rotation, is seeing what the wind looks like in this storm. And right now, it looks like at least where that rotation is actually outside of that tornado warning. You can see Mount Olivet Road, County Road 354 just to the south here, and County Road 113. And of course, you have 278 running just to the north of where we're seeing that rotation with this storm currently, but not impressive in any sense. So this is where we would, in theory, be seeing this storm rotate right now. Not enough for there to be a tornado warning with this that we're currently seeing. But we're going to stay on air with you guys until 7:15, so another 13 minutes as we continue to go here and watch this storm earlier on. And I'll roll things back for you guys and show you why we broke in the first place with this tornado warning to start things off. up in Tate County, we were seeing this storm start to go together. So just south of Senatobia, where there has been reports of some hail, even some damage, wind damage in that area. But as this moved to the south, notice these colors, these reds and greens getting brighter and also closer together. So the circulation is getting smaller, and that was a sign, hey, this storm is spinning. It might produce a tornado. So that's how that tornado warning went out. As we move forward, this is what 625. If you push forward, notice how that rotation goes away essentially. What we're looking at now is essentially some outbound winds with this. So we're looking at winds pushing out, but we're not looking at winds pushing back in anymore, which tells me this is an outflow dominant storm, which means we're not seeing a spin right here. We're definitely still seeing some pretty strong winds, and that's why we do have that severe thunderstorm warning out until 7:45, but that spin is not really something that I'm looking for as of right now. So let's sample some of those winds, and this is going to be just towards the west of Taylor, so in Lafayette County. That we're looking at some of these winds right now, and let me go ahead around 40 to 50 miles per hour winds. Now, I will say this is pretty high up in the storm, so there's a potential that we're seeing some weaker winds down at the surface, but at least the radar right now is sampling around 45 to 50 mile per hour winds in this storm as it continues to work down towards the south and east. Still in Panola County, so this is going to be just northeast of Shuford towards the west of Taylor in Lafayette County. Let's get this centered up a little bit more for you guys. And I'll put a little bit of a track on this where we're seeing at least the strongest part of the storm right now push through as it continues to work towards the south and east. So Taylor 718, Springdale right around 722, Water Valley right around 729, and Paris around 741. This is really where we're watching for some of that stronger wind with this storm. Let's go ahead and take a look at the MDOT cam. This out in Oxford, where they're seeing some pretty heavy rain right now. And this is something we haven't talked too much about, is the torrential downpours with these storms. But of course, that's been what we've been seeing every day. Every single storm that popped up has been dropping some really heavy rainfall. And on top of that, we've been seeing some hail. Thankfully not out in Oxford right now, but definitely you can see roads impacted. And these storms have been impacting holiday travel. It's Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people out on the roads getting out early. A lot of people trying to beat that traffic, and they're getting stuck in these severe storms and these tornado warned storms as well. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. If you have any travel plans, just make sure you're checking the ABC24 app. We have the latest weather on there. You can make sure that things are good to go before you head out. But let's go ahead and switch back to the radar. What we're seeing right now, I will say one thing is that we're looking pretty high up into the storm right now. And what we're looking like right now is that there are at least some reports in Como of some trees down. It sounds like it might be some straight line winds essentially with this. Like we said, we have a lot of winds coming out of the storm. That's that red, and that potentially caused some damage, but there's no indication right now that we're seeing any rotation with this storm currently here, moving, really just straddling the Panola-Lafayette County line right here. This is going to be Mississippi 315, Burgess 278, US 278 just to the north of this, and this has been essentially been moving almost due south over the last 10-15 minutes. Now moving into this severe thunderstorm warning that we've been keeping an eye on. So what we'll say is that we just got in from the National Weather Service. It looks like this tornado warning is about to be canceled. So once that polygon goes away, we will sign off from here and return you to your scheduled broadcast. But we'll stay on until this box goes away. But it looks like the National Weather Service going to resume with just that severe thunderstorm warning with a wind risk and some hail as we get into the next 30 minutes or so. What I'll do is I'll switch us back over to the rain, and you'll be able to see that. What we're looking at there, essentially some pretty heavy hail potential still just northwest of Taylor with this storm as it works. It just barely is moving to the south and southeast. It's been a very slow storm day here across the Mid-South. We're not used to storms, especially in the late spring. We're used to quick movers moving 40 to 50 miles per hour. So what we'll do is we'll stay on air here. It looks like the tornado warning will not expire until 7:15. So we'll be on air for another couple minutes here, but it looks like they are going to expire at least when we get there. So let's go ahead and pull up. We got some MDOT cams here showing some pretty heavy rain in this storm moving through right now. You can see cars moving pretty decently there. Thankfully, not a lot of cars on the road, so we're not looking at a lot of impacts where the storm is currently moving through. But definitely, if you don't have to be out on the road anywhere near this Panola, Lafayette County, I would stay inside for the next 30 minutes or so as the storm continues to work through. Like you said, potential of still some severe size hail, 1 to 1.5 inches hitting the ground. You don't want your car in that. So I would say try to stay off the road if you can. If you're in Panola County, out towards Taylor and Lafayette County, even if you're in Oxford, some pretty heavy rainfall moving through right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the radar. And what I'll do is, because we're not too worried, I should say, about this producing a tornado at this point, we're going to take a broader view what's going on here across the Mid-South. So I'll put a motion on this for the last 4 hours to show you guys what's been going on. We've been having these severe storms push to the south. Pretty much they formed on this boundary that's set up right along the Mississippi-Tennessee border and stretched out into Arkansas. And this has been producing storms slowly working down towards the south and east for the last 4 hours. And this is going to continue to be where we have that potential of severe weather. In fact, there is a severe thunderstorm watch out that's going to continue to be until 11 p.m. tonight, and that is our southern counties. Now, this green right here is a flood watch that's out for the Mid-South. We're continuing to see some very heavy rain with these storms, so any of these storms can produce some flooding in a quick notice. So that's why we have that watch out. But this red shading that you're seeing right here, a severe thunderstorm warning, essentially south of the Memphis metro, our border counties along our DMA, so Coahoma, Quitman, Panola, and Lafayette, until 11 p.m. that we're watching there for at least those storms, and also into Phillips County, I should say, as well, in Arkansas. But that might be dropped soon as those storms continue to work south. That atmosphere to the north of the storms, not conducive for severe weather. So what we'll do is we'll switch you back over to the radar, show you what's going on. We got about 5 minutes left until that tornado warning expires. The storm itself is outside pretty much of the tornado warning, but we got to stay on air with you guys until that warning officially expires, which is going to come at 7:15. So we'll continue to watch this now mainly in Lafayette County. If you're in Tate County, if you're in Panola, you're about to be good. I can't say that for everyone, but if you're in Batesville over towards Sardis, we were talking about Sardis quite a bit earlier on, you guys are good. Cortland as well. I-55 should be fine outside of some downpours just south of Sardis, but we're still looking at the potential, some pretty strong winds, some hail, just along the Panola-Lafayette County line, as well as stretching into Lafayette County, just northwest of Taylor, so pretty much between Taylor and Burgess here, that we're seeing at least that heavier rainfall potential. So let's switch it back over to the wind. We'll take a look at that. Essentially, this is the same story we've been looking at. This storm has what we call a rear outflow, and that's pretty much winds coming out of the storm in that circular motion, but only one direction. So we're seeing that southward push of the air. That's that bright pink you see right here, but the inflow, which is what would actually cause the spin, is not enough that we'd be concerned about a tornado. But still, inside of here, we're talking 40, 50 mile per hour winds at least. That's enough to cause some damage. And we've had some reports in the National Weather Service of some damage caused by this little part of the storm that we've been seeing persist. Outside of that, though, we're still watching for some hail. It currently is going to be warned for 2-inch hail. And I will say we're getting a little bit of a higher look up in the storm. So some of this might be a little bit contaminated with hail that's probably not going to make it to the ground. But if we go ahead and sample this, we're looking at some pretty sizable hail around 2 inches, 1.5 inches. Likely, I would not be shocked, 1 to 1.5 inch hail with this storm at the surface. We're looking very high up now, so we're seeing hail that's up in the storm. But still, this is enough to cause damage to your car and potentially to your roof as well, once you get up to 2 inches. So this is really the main threat, I think, right now with this storm. So let's go ahead. We'll clear the board here. And what I'll do is I'll show you guys where this hail is currently and pinpoint some of those roads. Of course, rural conditions or rural areas out here. So we're not talking about full-on suburbs. We're talking about some county roads here. So County Road 3019, we got County Road 340, and County Road 325 down to the south right here. This is essentially where we're seeing that best chance of some larger hail. We're talking around 1.5 inches with this storm. This is going to be just towards the west of Taylor. So if I move the camera over here, you can see Taylor, you can see Mississippi 328, Mississippi 7 right here on the right-hand side of your screen. This is what we call the hail core. This is like where we're seeing some of the larger hail. So if you're in Taylor, I think you're okay right now. I think this should stay just to the west of you guys, but I would stay away from your windows, away from your doors right now. We got gusty winds, and if you get some of that hail as well, it wouldn't be a fun time if you're anywhere near a window and it happens to get busted. So I would say get into your safe place, treat this as it is, potentially a tornado warning storm, especially if you're near some of this larger hail. We're talking about some sizes that can definitely cause some damage there. Let's switch it back over. We'll take a look one more time at the velocity, and there is some rotation on here, but it's just not impressive enough that I think that this would at least warrant a tornado warning. We'll see what the National Weather Service continues here, but we have that severe thunderstorm warning out until 7:45, and it does look like right now we got about a minute left until that tornado warning cancels. So with that, we should be able to get you guys off air here and back to your regular scheduled programming. But you can see right now, storm well south of the tornado warning. So it looks like that's going to be expired. And what we'll do is I'll watch this for the next, I would say 20 minutes or so, 20, 30 minutes. And it'll actually be out of our viewing area. So in terms of hail or anything like that, we'll continue to track that, especially on social media. You can follow us there. But outside of this storm, we're not looking at anything too significant for the Mid-South quite yet. You can see, like we talked about, the potential of some storms moving into Phillips County. But we're going to give you some more information on that as you go throughout the night. Make sure you're tuning in to CW 30 at 9 p.m., ABC 24 at 10 p.m. We'll have the latest on the forecast, but we're going to send you back to broadcasting here. So thank you guys for tuning in.